fund transfer. Everyone should have got an electronic copy of that today. It has to do with paying for all the additional recruitment costs for a variety of positions, one of which is including the town administrator, but we also had DPW directors, firefighters, et cetera, et cetera. So we're looking for an additional $5,000 to be transferred out of the reserve fund to the purchase of services account for the town administrator, and I believe, I don't have it right in front of me, but I know it's in the email, 71,000 or so is about the current balance that's left in the reserve. 75?
Before, I think.
Yeah, 75 prior to.
Okay. So, do I have a motion to accept the or to authorize the transfer $5,000 from the reserve fund to the town administrator purchase of services account? Larry and Kathy. All right, any questions, comments? All those in favor? That's 7-0. I just need to make sure no one's joined. All right. All right. Great. So, next would normally be line item budget, annual special town meeting warrants. We're here really to talk about the report of the finance committee, and if we have to change anything, that'll be good, but I'd like to work right through the whole document if we can to see if what people have as edits and what they caught. So we'll start right off with the easy one, hopefully. The cover. Well, you have edits there, right? You've got 284th. Mm-hmm. And you've got the date and the time and anything like that, just to make sure there's nothing's missing. So otherwise, the second page is just a list of phone numbers like we normally have. So we're good with that. We can sign off on the cover. Mm-hmm. All righty. So next is the index, but we'll deal with that later on. So the report of the finance committee. Let's go with that. Where'd you put that, Kev? All right, so there's been changes made to the document through the day, so it's not quite what you have, but I can try and highlight what's different. The welcome didn't change. And if I'm missing anything in here, just let me know. Role and responsibility, that's the same as it ever was. Budget highlights, we're still on page 1. Those first 2 paragraphs are exactly the same.
Exactly the same as when, Kevin?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, the first paragraph in the budget highlights, I questioned whether we still need to make this as prominent of the...
About COVID?
Yes. Is this the same as the commentary from last year?
No.
Just from earlier today? Yeah, I just, though I certainly understand the impacts of COVID in 2020, fiscal year 2023, the tone of this suggests potentially more variability than what I think is, again, my own view is that it may not be necessary to make such an important point as part of the budget highlights.
Well, the variability really comes on the revenue side because, right, we've had much higher than expected revenues due to the COVID, and that level of revenue should not be expected going forward. So that's really what I was trying to get at. And so that's why I wanted to make sure people realize that we've had higher than expected revenues, in that when we go back to normal, some of those revenues may decrease, and that we're not, what we're trying to do is use the historical average for those revenues and throw out these, skewed points of income. It's not the word I'm looking for. Huh? There you go, thank you.
Something else to consider, anyway. Something else to consider, I think, is that, I have to interrupt myself for extraneous reasons that both Jim and Kathy would understand because of our shared responsibilities and knowledge involving Harrington Hospital, the healthcare system, as now part of UMass Memorial. Just today, I happened to receive from Dr. Dixon, he's the president of the whole thing, all Harrington,
Yep, I know. Yep.
Clinton, Marlborough, and so forth, that they have reinstituted certain health care givers' regimens about eye cover, the full personal protective equipment that they had started easing off. They're changing the number of visitors, a patient, not a pediatric patient, and not a patient that medically is almost certainly not going to survive. But all other patients now can only have one visitor at a time because the COVID matter is surging. It's not much in the public press yet. That is going, I think, to show itself in this town in the coming fiscal year. So that the language here, I think, is suitable in light of the developing knowledge that is as fresh as today. The bugs are afoot.
Yeah, I don't intend, nor do I desire, to get into a political debate about the impact of COVID. I had anticipated.
That's not what I'm saying either.
Yeah, and so my comment wasn't about lessening the impact. The question that I had in the commentary is, how consistent with this is this from prior years? And I think that Kevin's clarification helped me with that. I just didn't, when you clarified as to your point about the variability of revenues, the way you said it came more clear than the way this read. That when I read this, it made it sound more about the overall impacts of COVID continue to be a significant impact, whereas it's really the comparability issue of revenues that you stated quite clearly that didn't come across as clearly in this. So.
Okay. All right, I'll have to rewrite that sentence somehow. Because that's my intent, is that, we're seeing some very high revenue figures in certain areas that are just not historically what we've experienced. And so you can't count on that level of revenue going forward.
I think I misunderstood you, Joe. I wouldn't have said what I just said if I had fully understood what you were striving to get across.
Fair enough.
All right, so that's the first paragraph. Let me just... All right, so we go through the second paragraph is the same. I quoted, I corrected now in reasons for the budget increase. That was where, or about half was, and I had the word have in there instead of half. So that's been corrected.
And the projected 5.5 million, after the word million, you gotta close the parentheses.
I thought I did that, but where is that above that?
Yes, it's in
I
the
should have
paragraph
mentioned that.
before that. Replacement of the town's radio system,
Got it.
okay.
Yep. Thank you. And then scrolling down.
Before the comma.
Before the comma,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So everything else. What's that?
Kevin,
So-
on page 2, reasons for budget increase,
Yeah.
I know I had the have changing to half, but then I had something about necessary maybe being changed to necessarily. Oh, the second paragraph of reasons for budget increase.
Yes, necessarily. It is necessarily.
Can't help myself.
That's fine. No, that's
Good
good.
catch. Good catch. Yeah.
All right, so that's good. Cut that one.
And then maybe change that first area that we had of concern with being incomparable, just say you can't compare them to past years, but I like simple language projects.
Is that, are we back up to the top?
Yeah, sorry about that. And then that's the last one I have for a while. Not telling you to rewrite, but a
I
suggestion.
know, I'm
for
going to
when you
rewrite, I'm
do-
going to try and make that clearer, it's a good
It's
point.
incomparable used, I saw that, I remember seeing that.
It's in
not
the
here.
top.
It's in the
same
top. I
point-
was
It's the
backtracking.
same point that Joe was trying to make.
Right.
I was not, my words were not as clear as my intent. All right, so let's scroll down
Did you
here.
say you changed it half to half?
I did, it's now HALF. So I got the little flow chart that's from Barbara, and then after that, I changed this paragraph afterwards. So I'm just gonna read it, because unfortunately, you don't have it and we can't share it. As we await the determination of actual costs associated with the aforementioned planned capital projects, along with several known lesser cost projects, the risk to our free cash position is real. As evidenced by the free cash balance, we started the fiscal year with free cash at 17.03% of our accepted budget, and will end the year with it at 10.25% of the expected fiscal year '23 budget. However, we project the use of $2,311,757 of free cash in total, or 37% of the balance which we started the current fiscal year. So, just to highlight that, that number's changing very quickly. And then everything else is exactly the same. I didn't edit anything there. Oh, I got the meeting schedule, that needs to be changed page, that should never have a header on the page by its own.
So on the projected revenues piece, we end up with excess levy limit of 3325. Yet we had the issue last week when we added a few dollars in the town administrator's
I
account.
changed the revenue number. I added $9,200 to our revenue.
That's how you got that.
So
I'm
it didn't
changing the
change.
math, so now we're not in the red, you just changed the math, so we still have a little.
Yes, so
Okay,
we're still at $3,325 short.
okay, that was my next one. Great, thanks.
Kevin,
No. Oh, go ahead, Larry.
under the heading Reasons for Budget Increase, the second paragraph, the last sentence, after paramedic, do you want a comma, not a semicolon?
Okay. I'm not tied to either one.
In fact, you could do probably without the comma or the semicolon.
You mean,
Dramatic.
After paramedic, no punctuation.
there we go. Enough.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
No punctuation.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay.
I told you, this is a C- effort at best. All right.
We'll make it an A.
So, let's see. The only other thing to check out, if you guys are comfortable with everything else that's in there right at the moment, is your names. So I don't put something in there you're not interested in. So like Lee, I just went with Darren because you said
Thank
that's
you,
what you
sir.
wanted to do.
Sir,
All right, so then we'll go with this. I'll try and rewrite that paragraph so it's a little clearer as to what I'm trying to get at.
I'm sorry, Kevin, I didn't know if you intended to go for page, but I did have some thoughts on the
Sure.
issues for your consideration piece.
Yeah, go ahead.
I certainly agree with both the tone, the need and our desire to talk about the potential growth in some of the costs, but I thought that this came across as fairly anti-growth and didn't, a simple mention that it brings a wider tax base and then talks about the increased town services. I just think it needs to be a little bit more balanced about, we recognize that, we talk about the new developments. The point about being planful is critical. But this, to me, and I open up for conversation, came across as anti-growth and didn't offer both sides of additional housing, the requirement for more affordable housing, the facts that it does bring in additional taxes, but of course increases the demand for town services. It really focuses on just the demand for town services, and I thought it could be a little bit more balanced while still making the same point.
It's interesting because I didn't think that it was, I went the other way. Not appreciating that we don't want to lose the historical and small-town feel that makes us want to live in Sturbridge. So, interesting. I don't know what to do about it, but interesting.
And I thought it struck the middle line.
So I guess that means it's good, because it's got people thinking about it and coming at it from different, so you could discuss it.
We had a little sidebar before the meeting started on just the language, how it looked.
No,
No decisions made.
The main thing I took from that is that there's an inevitability of growth, and we have to accept that and plan for it. That's what I took. That's what the meaning I took is, was that the general intention, I thought?
Yes, it was. And another theme, intended anyway, was that be careful not to do one thing and not look beyond the borders of the one thing. You can't do one thing unless you mislead yourself. I'll use an analogy. You walk up to a table, it's got a tablecloth, and there's glassware and flatware and so forth, and you do one thing. You grab the tablecloth and you yank it. You only did one thing, but look what happened. Well, just so, look at a project on its own merit, period. Simultaneously, look at the connections that go through the town. They are cumulative, and make a whole decision. See the town whole, not, well, it'll only add, 500 round trips a day on 131. That's easily absorbed. By itself, it is. And so is the other one, at only 250. And one day, there's 4,000 more trips. Try to understand what one thing does, but also understand the virtues of the one thing all by itself. Anyway, that was intended as a theme.
Mike had a comment, too.
Yeah, I got to join on the side of this, that this seems more like growth is bad. And I'm not so sure that I'm there as well. And at the beginning, we seem to zero in and highlight this 70-home neighborhood. Why that one versus other houses that are being done in town? If I build 70 individual houses, or 5 at a time,
That one is kind of obvious for everyone to see.
Pretty visible to everybody.
but
Well, you ask, and it's because it's current,
yeah,
and it is at a scale seldom seen around here.
Right.
It's not distributed, it's concentrated.
Right.
That's the reason,
And
and it's
it-
only the launching to
and I
the
got to
other.
look at that. Is that 70 homes, lots of kids, or is it 70 homes,
That was 55 and over.
55 and over?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to require some more services, but it's not going to tie into people are going to tie in 70 homes, lots of kids, the school thing you're talking down here. That's a disconnect. If I go a little bit further, you talk about police department, which according to the FBI, I don't think the FBI tells each town how much you should have. I think the reference should be is to some general guidelines or
Yeah,
something
I had the
from
same
there.
note.
I think they do come from the FBI.
They do come from the FBI.
Yeah.
FBI standards instead of.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think,
Data,
to existing
put a little
FBI guidelines or
Right,
something, but.
so guidelines or something, that's fine, versus, somebody at the FBI is calling up the
Yeah,
borough
I
and
agree
telling
with
them
that
what to
point.
do, right? We talk about here, the inspectors needing to address all these issues. They're also heavily tied up from existing, folks who've been here for a while because they're doing lots of renovations in their home on the last couple of years. So it's not, growth is part of that, but, the regular folks that have been here all along aren't part of that growth piece, have been driving a lot of those increased needs for services. So it's, that's not fully growth related. More houses and supporting businesses also mean more wastewater treatment. Well, we're looking at a multi-million-dollar project to get our wastewater coming to our town versus Southbridge. And we're saying that's a good thing because we got excess capacity over there and the extra revenues are good. So I think that statement of more wastewater treatment being negative part of this growth, we're trying to find ways to grow wastewater treatment because we need the extra revenues to pay for all the equipment and upgrades and use the excess capacity we already have.
And I don't mean this to be critical of Joe or of you, Mike, but this is supposed to be the forest, and you guys are looking at the trees. And the way this is structured is it's basically saying, these are some eventualities that could come about, and he's given some examples, and the bottom line to this is, make sure we start planning, and we start planning now for these type of critical things that could happen in the future. Otherwise, our surplus is going to turn into a deficit very quickly. That's what I took from this. The opening of it was to get everybody's attention that stuff is changing and give an example of something that's happening now. And, no surprises. We have to be prepared and be ready for this, because if we're not, the surprise will come. Everyone's talking, I'd just like to finish about, well, we got to reduce the amount of extra cash we have in free cash because we don't need that much and all that. Well, you know what? If we don't watch ourselves, in 3 years, we're going to go from having 17% or 20% to being negative 10, well, we'll be negative.
Right.
Because people, they want to give a tax break now for real estate taxes. Here's $25. Oh, by the way, in 3 years, you're going to have to pay $450 more a year in taxes to pay for this stuff that we didn't talk about before. That's, I think, I'm getting off track here a little bit, but I think this basically creates a sense of urgency at the beginning, gives some examples of it, and says, now, let's remember, we have to plan for this, otherwise we're going to get caught, I won't use that expression, we're going to get taken by surprise down the road.
And I would
think it
change.
effectively does
right.
that.
And if this kind of came, and I kind of view this as the issues we're worrying about and trying to be cautious about, growth certainly has an impact to that. But I believe that we're here, the fire department and the police department are here trying to meet the current needs of the town, not the stuff that are going to come with additional growth. So part of these strains that we have, the capital investments we're making, let's assume we shut down all growth and no new houses, no business come in here. We still need to make all those investments that are coming down the road to meet where we are. So I think the message is, the services that we need to meet our current population are adding some stresses in here. Growth that may come in and is needed to bring in excess revenues as well adds to that as well. So this is all growth is driving these things, as opposed to we're struggling to meet our needs today, and we should realize that we're going to have to make some investments to meet our current needs for the people that are here now.
Wouldn't that
Growth
be an
will add to that.
anti-growth statement?
What's that?
Wouldn't that be an anti-growth statement, to say, we're having problems now, let's not have growth, it'll only make things worse? That would be anti-growth.
Not necessarily. Not if someone understands we're at certain capacity and certain revenues can help.
Yeah, that's if they do, but we are, I think, among probably 20 people in the entire town who understand this stuff because we live with it. And when you look out at Tantascwa, I think you see people you've never laid eyes on before. Who are they? You think you know your own town, and you discover there are hundreds of people you don't know. And the local paper doesn't provide information. We know more, and we have to lay out contextually what others are counting on us to tell them. And it would be anti-growth to say, look, we are breaking ourselves just to keep up with today. Oh my goodness, growth? That'll kill us. That would be an anti-growth.
I agree with you. Let me try it this way. Instead of talking about struggling to meet our current services or for level of people or bringing the growth piece in here, why isn't it just focus on, here are the areas that the town should be looking at that are feeling the strain for whatever reason, right? You know, the fire department is an area where you in the eye of the future, you should be looking at the fire department because staffing levels are an issue, and we may need to add more staffing. The police department, you know, hasn't added someone in other than the resource office in 20 years. You know, there are large capital expenditures coming down the road that we have to meet. So if the eye is on, you know, these departments and these big expenditures coming down the road, let's put the focus on those issues and not tie it to growth or no growth or wherever we are.
Well, I would like to stand right next to you when, in the future, somebody stands up at a future town meeting and said, why didn't you tell us this stuff was coming?
So, I just, actually, you all have great points, and this is exactly what this is intended to do. It's, the idea is to put thoughts into people's head to make them go, and go talk to their elected representatives, because, you know, all we can do is plant seeds. And, you know, and it seems like this has worked well, because everyone's interpreted it slightly different. And, you know, you could go talk to your 5 elected representatives or us or whoever, but I mean, we only can do this. And this is what this whole section's about, is just to give townspeople, taxpayers here's something we see that you might want to think about and talk to people about. And I really like that we had this conversation, because you got 5 somewhat different perspectives, and you all were able to talk intelligently and respectfully about the differences.
I do think the word guidelines or some other.
I put guidelines in there.
Okay, fine, I think that's a good addition.
So can I suggest 1 or 2 other, I think,
Sure.
wording changes that helps take it helps balance the message? And I think if you look at 3/4 of the way through that paragraph, it says, because still more development is on the way, the Finance Committee recommends. I would like to change that first to say, because of these multiple issues, because we do say that, you know, and so instead of, it's not the still more development is why the Finance Committee is recommending it. It's the balance of all of these factors are why we're recommending. So again, I would recommend by saying, because of the challenges of all of these issues, the Finance Committee recommends. Again, I think that otherwise it pins all of the issues on the oncoming development. And I think somehow, Larry, your point, again, that you said about each future project being evaluated in its proposed merits at the same time as the interplay of factors, somehow I'd either want to put that at the beginning or somehow amplify it, because I think it's buried in the rest. And I think the key points that we're making are these things all have to be looked at together, and there's a lot of moving pieces. That's why we think we need professional help.
Yeah, I think, I like your suggestion where the sentence begins, because the first of these 2 or 3 things you just now mentioned, I agree with you. I think that's a good way to express it. I don't know how others feel, but anyway, that's how I see it. And
So what was the actual terminology? Because of, I know I had wrote down of the challenges, and I didn't get the rest of it.
Because of the multiple challenges the town is facing, the Finance Committee recommends.
yeah, I think that's nice.
You could say, given these considerations.
Yeah, that's the notion, anyway. If we put it near the top, we're creating a question. They don't know what we're talking about because we haven't gotten to it.
I agreed. I don't know,
Yeah.
I didn't have an answer for that one, but I think it's a critical point.
Well, I hope it's a critical point, but it was put where it was in order to open the door to having the outside practitioners.
Yeah.
And, well, that's why it's there. It's kind of setting up for the clincher.
Okay, but I'll accept that.
Okay.
And related to this, and this is my last point on this, is Is Article 11, where there's a proposal for the consultants from the, is that an example of this? And if so, should we refer to it as such? Article 11 is a outside consultant to help with, I'm rereading it now.
That's to help with,
Community Preservation Housing Consultant.
I think that's
Yeah.
a separate issue.
I think that's, this one is the range of municipal issues.
Yeah.
Housing being one, traffic, public safety,
Yeah.
librarianship.
Yeah.
So you get, everybody in the room is a specialist. And so one thing is being looked at from lots of points of view. Almost like you may know, may not, that a lot of times in medical consultations, the surgeon is talking to a neurologist at the same time to a pediatrician, at the same time to an ophthalmologist, because they all see the same thing slightly differently, and you need them all to see it all. And so that's why this is not part of Article 11, which,
No, I was, is Article 11 an example of the type of consultation services that we need going forward?
I read that word practitioners to mean our subject matter experts in town, like the DPW director is our subject.
Okay.
outside.
All right, so, all right,
The
so
word
that's,
outside is- Yes, it is, except that, I think, the Article 11 would have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Just as we have ongoing legal counsel,
Yeah.
I'm suggesting that the committee recommend we have these ongoing relationships with the set of practitioners because
Okay,
the
that's helpful.
need,
I'm
They're on
good then.
retainer.
the need is endless.
Okay, I'm good with that.
So, so the practitioner piece, I wonder if we strayed from finance to more of a charter issue. And I understand the concept. I liken it to like a board of directors for the hospital or a company. I'm using these people to help guide me and make my decisions. That doesn't really work in town government. I don't know where it really applies there. And certainly, an elected board has staff that they should be able to rely on for input and guidance versus just acting, politically or for particular interests. It's an interesting concept. I just don't see how it works in a government setting.
Well, it'll work.
And how it ties to, well, you're going to tie it to finances because by taking this guidance, you can make more intelligent, thought through, decisions that are financially better for the town.
Absolutely. It could be, sometimes it could be staging in the sense of calendaring. Well, if we're going to do that, and we're going to do that, let's make, in effect, a bulk buy. We'll do this with that instead of having two make-readies. Something as fundamental as that could, but that's not where I'm hanging my head in recommending this to the committee. It's that the complexity of life requires, which is endless, requires a complex of advisors who live and breathe this stuff, each from a specialist angle.
Okay.
But you put your finger on something, and you're the only one here who used to be a selectman. None of this works if they plug their ears. And it's only now under discussion because they ain't done it yet. Not since 1738.
All right. We've got a lot of stuff to get through, so we can come back to this, but we'll leave it for now. So
Can I
going to
just
the
make one
ATM.
comment?
You got something, Barbara?
I was just going to say, I think you need one sentence at the beginning of that paragraph, because, well, you all might think you all know what you're trying to say. I don't think that people that haven't been following all the discussions do. So, hold on, let me just pull it back up. So I think the first sentence could just be something as simple as saying, you know, as the town looks forward, and this isn't the wording you would do, but something to like, as the town looks forward, it needs to balance, or it needs to balance the discussion of growth versus the need for increased town services, or something like that, that kind of pulls what you're trying to say together and then go into what you're trying to say. Because I don't think right now you have like an opening line that's saying what you're trying to say. Which is, I believe, because you're saying growth brings a wider tax base and the need for increased town services. But aren't you really saying that these are the things that the town needs to look, you know, look to for future years, and that it's not just, are you trying to say like we shouldn't just be looking at 1 year at a time?
As the drafter, Kevin, or anyone else on the committee, I give you my proxy for how you might decide to word something along the lines the finance director referred to, if at all.
Okay, I'll have to think about it. We'll come back to that.
Kevin, for the record, that was the substantive, I only have other very small comments as we go through the rest of it, so, you know, we can move on, but I didn't want you to think I was going to be challenging every...
Oh, no, you don't, you can challenge everything, that's the whole point. I mean, I don't, it's just, I don't want it, each point to take an hour, you know? So that's why I want to kind of...
I appreciate the conversation, I think it was a good one, so.
All right, so let's just get to the ATM warrant. So some slight changes in the header, I added what we normally add that wasn't there, you know, Tantasco Regional, June 6, 7 PM. All that stuff, moving down. Article 1 is pretty much the same as it was. I didn't change anything in the summary box. Article 2. Now I have here, Mike, right here, how am I gonna get that accepted? Those are the footers.
Right, so then just, if you just want to accept it one at a time, just click on that.
Click here.
Yep, and now go up and say accept.
Really? Okay.
Or right click. How about, do this, right click and accept,
That didn't do it.
we'll unclick, we'll clean those out.
Yeah, we'll deal with it later. Anyways, you see too that I also have footers on all the pages, that, you know, like prior years. Let's see what else here. Article 3. How the hell is it? I need to do this without markup, because I'm not used to using markup, so it's causing me a lot of grief. All right. Sorry.
In the box for Article 3,
I got to get there, Jim. Sorry, I went past it. Go ahead.
it says the funds will be used to provide operating and administrative expenses. I don't believe it should say that. It should say to provide for operating and administrative expenses. We're not providing expenses, we're providing for the expenses that they
Right.
will incur.
That's fine. I'll add the word for.
Okay.
Okay, good. I'm glad you.
That's the only thing I had there.
Article 4. Try to take in my mouse. So this is, I don't think I changed anything there. Preservation. Nothing. Storm windows. Gotta read this. I don't think I added anything to that one. Land survey, 9 River Road.
Kevin,
Yep.
I think on Article 6, the box,
Yeah.
the cost to install the storm windows, last sentence, has increased, comma, which requires.
Okay.
And also in that box, it says 17,600, it should say 600.00, should it not?
Yeah. We'll do that, that's fine. All right, I added those 2 changes. Article 7, community preservation, blah, blah, blah. The only thing I did really there is that Grand Trunk Trail, I put the parentheses with GTT in it because we use GTT later in the blocks.
Through THRU is,
Oh, yeah. OUGH.
and do we normally capitalize T on town when we're referring to this
Yes.
town?
Yeah. So you're talking town improvements?
Will allow the town to
Oh, yeah.
continue.
I see where we are. Related to town improvements keeps the small t. All right. Kevin. All right, community preservation parking lot. Did I really change anything there? No. All right. Library and Corny Smolden. Didn't do anything with that one. So, you know, as you highlight anything going down to 10, emphasize for the Article 11. Now, there's one, Jim, you weren't keeping me honest there.
Article 11,
That's where the dollars needs to go at the end in the article.
dollars has to be moved.
Yeah, I'll fix that. That's really just a typo.
Yeah, just has to be moved after the 00.
All right, so that,
Same thing happens in Article 14.
well, I haven't, yeah, when we get there, shout out to me. 12, 13. All right, 14, you said, yeah, all right. All right,
Under 14, there's the capital PEG, PEG. Should that be spelled out?
I don't, anyone know, that's public, well, that's actually in the, that one is not a typo. So that one I can't really correct, you know, that's in the
I think it's
article.
been that way the last, well, since we started doing this. I think it's always been PEG.
Well, just in case somebody raises their hand and asks, what is it, do we know?
I don't. Barbara, do you know in Article 14 what PEG stands for, in PEG Access and Cable Related Fund?
No.
I knew it one time, and I don't remember.
It's been that way in the
In the book
Yeah, it
somewhere.
has.
It's been-
We'll fix it next year.
No, but Larry's got a good point. We should at least
We
be
can
able to
find out
say what it is.
Yep.
Bruce now? He's coming to the door.
Public, educational, and government.
Ah, thank you.
Thank you.
Educational.
You know, if we want to keep it as a reminder for next year, you could always add a sentence in the summary box.
That's
that
exactly
PEG
what
is-
I'm going
is
to do.
whatever.
So we can call it public educational governmental use. Educational. Is it educational? Yeah. I thought he said educational and government. Bruce can. Oh, I guess he's not listening to us.
Public, educational, and governmental access.
3 channels, public, educational, and government.
Educational, okay, great,
In government.
yeah. Okay, so the way I added that is that this proposed budget provides for the operation of the town's cable access service for public educational and governmental purposes. This is one where I need to actually expand that box a little bit. Okay. Maybe there is where I'll put PEG in parentheses, actually.
Yeah. Then people really know it.
Yeah. Let's go in there.
Just go,
Okay. Whoops, damn it. I didn't take my mouse, because it causes me a problem. I'm so,
All right, you'll have to click in the footer. It looks like it's already done that.
oh, okay. So STA. So that hasn't really changed. Betterment. So the dollars is right there. Just cast, so this is capital.
The box.
Now, in the box, yeah, I kind of changed it out, but go ahead.
It says 546, 159, should say .00.
.00, all right. So then, if that's the only change there, Article 18, ambulance stabilization fund.
That one has the same problem, 3920 in the box should be 3920.00.
All right. Capital stabilization fund. Just to see if the dollars, okay. Fire vehicle, which is Article 20.
Same thing in the box, 750,000. It's twice there, it should have .00 both times.
It's not twice there.
Did you change it since I read it?
Maybe I did.
Article 25 vehicle
So I think,
in the box. it
So I
says-
have, what I have in here is each year the town sets aside a sum of money to assist the town in replacing its expensive fire apparatus. These funds will be set aside until needed. If approved, the approximate balance in this fund will be $57,350 with the double zeros. The town's 5-year capital plan anticipates the need to purchase a new piece of apparatus to replace the current Rescue 1 apparatus, a 1997 Freightliner, at an estimated cost of $750,000.
so this is where Barbara's
That'd be the
comment was
point.
to delete the stuff in the end about the last fire truck we bought.
Yeah,
But shouldn't the 750 have a .00?
it does.
It doesn't here.
No, I've edited
just
it
added
since then.
Oh, okay.
What you don't have is that,
Twice.
it's not anymore.
Okay, so you
So
changed
you
it, I get it.
deleted the last sentence?
I deleted that
Okay.
whole last part. Yeah, because I had kind of agreed with Barbara that that really didn't add anything to this article, you know,
Okay.
what we're trying to do with it. So, I know changes were made to this today, and I didn't resend it out.
Okay.
Did you add fiscal '24 for when we plan to buy that additional, what's on the capital plan? Did you add the fiscal year?
No, I didn't. You said fiscal year 2024?
So before you put that in there, I agree that the current plan has it in 2024, but I would, the plan is subject to change this year
It does
based on
say
priorities and
anticipates,
everything else.
which is kind of,
All right, you can do it that way.
Yeah.
All right.
right, that gives us we're anticipating it, may not happen. But I agree with you. You're right. You keep everything, next fiscal year ahead of us is fluid.
I guess my point would be, you're calling it out, so.
Yeah,
It could be
mention when it's
something
gonna
else.
happen.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that.
That's fine.
All right, OPEB.
Same thing in the box, $100,000. Unless you fixed it already.
No, I did not, in
And
50.
50,000,
Where's the 50?
right, the line below. 100.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah, I have it over here, too. 50 and the 100, they both need a 00.
After the 100,000 at the 2011 annual, you want to insert the word town meeting.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And then,
Now you gotta maybe go back.
Jim, you saw the 50,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got that.
Oh, okay.
Great. All right, so moving, let me just save this before I go too far ahead. Article 22, revaluation interim, nothing really changed there.
Well, the capital T on town.
Article.
Just for kicks.
Yeah.
Last year's box, we had the decimal point and the 2 zeros, but we didn't have the town as well, so we carry.
Well,
Some
this is part of us
mistake.
fixing it.
And we'll miss something this year, too.
Oh, yeah. And it'll show up right in the town meeting. You'll sit there and say, how did we miss that? Article 23, revolving funds limits. Okay, water department. I did,
Question on 24, are you on 24?
yeah, I added, I'm going to read it because I'm not sure if how much I changed this, but this budget covers the operating expenses for for providing public water in Sturbridge. On April 19th, 2022, the Board of Selectmen, acting as Water and Sewer Commissioners, voted an increase in the water rate for the quarter ending June 30th, 2022, and I spelt out June, May 30, in comma, 2022, at $7.18 per cubic foot, comma, an increase of $0.25 per 100
Zero
cubic
in, okay.
per 100 cubic feet, 3.6%. This increase will result in a minimum bill of $71.80 per quarter. The last increase in water rates was for the quarter ending June 30th, 2015. And that same type of box thing went into Article 25, and it basically says there, voted an increase quarter ending June 30th, 2022 at $12.45 per 100 cubic feet, an increase of $2.63 per 100 cubic feet, parentheses 26.7%. This increase will result in a minimum bill of $124.50 per quarter. The last increase in sewer rates was for the quarter ending June 30th, 2015. All right.
Yeah, on Article 25, Kathy just picked it up.
The article itself, we don't write it, but there should be an and before 6.
906, should it just be
There should
906?
It's a spelling error. It's a typo.
Yeah, it's not ours,
Catch.
but
No, we'll fix it, though.
Good eye.
And, well, the selectmen have already posted this, so it'll be, we won't match their warrant, but ours will be at least correct grammatically.
and numeric.
Yeah, and numerically, true. So, Article 26, sewer project debt and betterments. Let's go down through here. Didn't add anything there. Maintenance, fiscal, St. Anne's. Nothing there. Infiltration, Article 28. Okay, not hearing anything. Moving right along, Article 29. So I'm going to read the summary box, because I did make a change, and I can't remember if it was last night or this afternoon. For the past 2 years, the town has been leasing a unit to provide office and meeting space to the 25 school bus staff members located by the DPW building. Previously, operations were run out of a very small office in the DPW building, and full staff meetings and training was done at the public safety complex. The trailer increases staff safety for bus drivers and DPW staff by separating them, decreases interruption for each department, and allows the DPW to utilize the old office area. Because there was, I thought
You deleted to expand their tight quarters.
yes, because that's a subjective judgment. Right, what's tight to you may not be tight to me and vice versa, so that's why I just said utilize the old office area. Right, we're trying to be as neutral as we can be in the language.
Which actually wouldn't expand their tight quarters, it would relieve their tight quarters, but that's a whole different understanding of the word.
Okay, no, that's fine. Article 30th, that's the same.
So you're fixing things in the middle where it talks about general laws, chapter 40.
Yeah,
I think you need a space between the before the capital C.
are you in Article 30?
30, 30?
Well, if I missed it, are you back in
I'm
29?
at 31, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Okay, so now I'm getting down to 31. General law, oh, you're right here, I see what you're saying. Yep.
We're on 30 now? 31?
We're at 31, the TIF. Before I screw something up here. I don't think, then there's Article 32. This goes on for 4 or 5 pages. I don't think I changed anything to that today. Then we had Article 33, 7 Main Street. This one here at 7 Main Street, does the draft I gave you talk about at the annual town meeting of June 7th, 2021?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Because I know one of these I had to go looking back, and I'm not sure if it was this article or not. And we're digging out the,
Yeah, you just moved it around in a sentence to lead with it, that's all.
okay. Thank you.
On Article 32, under the heading, the introductory language, to see if the town and so forth, that's in boldface. Is it supposed to be, or the others seem to be?
No, that's like, there's 2 actions in this. It took me a while to figure this out, too. There are 2 actions taking place in this one article, and that's the second action. So one article is to insert this whole bylaw, and the second article is to amend and insert this definition or something to that.
So there will be
Well,
separate votes?
Oh.
Will there be separate votes if there are 2 actions?
no, it's happened that way before. We've done, I know, I can remember a couple instances, we've done zoning articles where we also put the friggin' definitions in the same article.
No, what I mean is if there are 2 actions and there are 2 votes, what if for some reason somebody wants to vote for one of them and against the other,
You're gonna vote against it, yeah.
then they can't break up their vote, right?
They'll have to offer a substitute motion to, you
Break them
know,
apart.
to strip out that other piece and just
So the
vote on one.
selectmen put this together this way, I guess.
I would imagine it's the planning board who put it together that way, because they're the sponsor.
Uh-huh, okay.
I just noticed that in Article 31, they use GL for general laws, but now in this one, they're using MGL.
I
Yeah,
don't,
it's not consistent, but.
but that's something that, not a typo, that's,
No, it's not
yeah.
a typo, but they're inconsistent use, but.
Well,
I believe actually, Lee, you can correct me, isn't Ashley supposed to be J, just GL?
It's, actually, it should be MGL.
Is it?
I think Blue Book citation is
Is MGL?
MGL.
Yeah, you're right. I've done anything like that lately,
And-
so.
and Just looking at 31 again, I know in the title of the article, it says tax increment financing,
yeah,
but in the summary, Board of Selectmen to offer a TIF. Do you think people make that connection between the heading of the article and the box?
okay.
Should we,
You're saying adjust the box, yeah.
So if you want to blow up TIF, then why don't we just tax increment financing agreement?
Okay,
instead of TIF?
and I'm
I
not
was
gonna,
okay with TIF, but if you wanted to, you know, make it clear,
and you're not, in the T, I, and F are not capitalized. Right, because I mean, that isn't,
I would have capitalized them all. but-
all right, we'll do that then. Tax increment financing agreement. Now, do I need to
Just a
expand
comment.
upon-
Barbara, you're there, right? Where did I see, you did where did you put that explanation, which was excellent, on what a TIF is? Where did I see that?
I had emailed that to everyone. Ann had done a memo.
And to what?
Ann had sent the memo.
Ann Murphy, the assessor, had done a memo that I had forwarded to everybody.
Is that posted anywhere on the town website, so it's available for anybody to see? I'm just curious.
It is not.
Okay.
Actually, you're right.
Oh, I am? No, because I just found something different.
Yeah. It's,
What am I
they
looking
just say Jen. They don't like GL either.
All right, so we were
What about it?
You wanted it. Oh, you don't want the
32.
explanation?
I thought
asked
we
her
were
where
up to
it was.
33.
I know, I got it.
Yep, I'm with the 33, yep.
I just asked her where it was.
Okay.
I thought you,
I read it. It was excellent.
That's the Article 7, We talked about
I'm
June
sorry, I'm
7th. Article 34, now, Article 34, we took no action, and usually in our no actions, we put in our explanation, and I wrote, the explanation is for our no action.
Kevin, can I make a couple of quick suggestions on that paragraph? Let's keep the first sentence. In the second sentence, if this article should pass, the town will forever be restricted from using this parcel for certain purposes that may be benefit for the town, because we can't actually say for any purposes.
Okay.
And then in the last sentence, I would suggest we take out the to reiterate and just say the passage of this article will not allow the town to consider.
I'm all right with that. Everyone else okay with that?
What, can I just read it again, please? What did you want to remove, Joe?
To reiterate?
Yeah, just take out the to reiterate.
The first part of it's
The first
okay?
part, I think he means.
Oh,
And the first part is changing it from using this parcel, change it from for any purpose to for certain purposes.
that works. I'm all for that. That makes it better.
So Kevin, I thought the other point that Jim made in here was, town meeting gets to control this. So if this article doesn't pass, that doesn't mean we go developing, right? So the town meeting gets to control what happens on this thing. It's not, a couple of boards or committees or whatever else. So I think we're missing the concept that, you as a town get to control, have full control over this thing. And if you don't take any action, then it stays the way it is. Or said another way, you don't feel like you have to lock this thing down for all of eternity right now. Nothing's going to happen to this unless town meeting decides down the road that they want something to happen on that property.
And you don't think it says that, Mike? I think that's what that it's specifically saying, by passing it, you create restrictions.
By passing, you definitely create restrictions.
I know, that
You
agreed.
create a total
That's it.
restriction.
Understood, and I think that's what I'm suggesting it says.
This will forever be restricted from using this parcel for any purpose.
For
Certain purposes, I have changed
Right,
that.
but you could put for any purpose other than open space,
We had that-
da-da-da,
we had that
da-da-da.
done.
Okay, well, if we are, just talking about rewording if you wanted to, but for instance, town meeting has been presented several opportunities in this area. I think the point we're trying to make is that town meeting has, on several occasions, had a chance to vote to use something and has declined. And they've acted prudently, and why should we deprive the voters of the right to make that decision?
Right.
So maybe that's the concept to work in here. We talked about it's been presented to use this area for fields, blah, 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 but, we're missing the point of, and is elected not to move forward with those suggestions, right? But may want to move forward in the future with something.
Okay, so you're saying, I don't know, you're saying after that, 70th Street, in each case, a portion, if not all, of 70th Street needed or requested. In each case, or in a, I don't know, So one of you other wordsmiths, help me out here.
Yeah, Mike, I think the point comes across pretty clear, is that if this were to pass, it restricts usage. We give some places where usage has been suggested, and then point out again that if it was to pass, all of those things would be restricted.
And I think something that we had in the original wording that's left out now, even though it wasn't defined explicitly,
There was no
needs to be put in. It says, "The purpose of this article is to turn over town control of this TBD
Oh, I
acre
put
parcel."
14-acre parcel
It's
in there.
14.02 acres, and we have.
I just put 14
That's
acre,
okay, but it should be in there. People should know the size of that piece of property.
Yeah. I did 14-acre, I don't know if that's, yeah.
But that box changed, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
At the summary box.
Summary box says, "Now, the purpose of this article is to turn over control of this 14-acre parcel, which was gifted to the inhabitants of the town of Sturbridge without restrictions, to the Conservation Commission for the purpose of allowing the Conservation Commission to convey a conservation restriction to a third party, restricting the use of the parcel for open space and natural resources."
And I think the word "for" is incorrect there grammatically. To restrict the use of the parcel to open space and natural resources. Larry, I'll call on you as the
You're right.
writer. It
I
should be
think you're
2
right.
instead of 4.
I agree.
You.
I'm all right with that. So that changed the summary box. I guess because I took the first whack at our rationale is what I wanted people to read.
Good.
All right. So we'll just live with that. All right, so moving on, oh, shoot. Where was I? Should I get? Article 35, funding for the construction of the public parking lot. So there's lots of dollars without.
Without the .00.
Yeah.
That's all I found, though, was as discrepant, nothing else. But I should have been looking for the word "town"
Now,
with a capital T.
So I'm just gonna read the summary box, because I know I made some changes, and I don't think I did it this afternoon. It's going to be, the commercial tourist district plan adopted by the town in 2014 identified the need for additional parking along the Route 20 corridor. On January 27, 2020, special town meeting voted to acquire the land at 501 Main Street for use as public parking lot, Article 45, 244, and then you need a zero in there, $1,000. And to prepare design plans and permitting for the article, which is Article 46, $15,000. The parking lot, as designed, will contain 25 parking spaces and will provide much-needed parking in the commercial tourist district, as well as access to the trail system along the river. Planning Board and Conservation Commission approvals have been obtained, and this project is shovel-ready. The funds will be used to construct the parking lot and install a stormwater management system, lighting, and crosswalks. In addition, the funds from this article, the town will be using $244,000 of American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, funds, which were approved by the Board of Selectmen, and $50,000 earmark made available from Senator Goby's office to complete this project.
And a $50,000 earmark.
Okay.
And you got the .00 in 2 places.
I got it in the first one, I just saw it after the 50,000 though.
And you might want to put State Senator Goby.
Oh, okay. Done.
I know that we don't edit the titles, but why did they put Sturbridge after 501?
We can actually edit the title.
Good.
That's,
I mean, we never-
that belongs to us. The only thing
Yeah,
that,
okay.
the only thing that belongs to them are the words
I don't
to
think
to
I've
their
ever
to.
seen
Yeah,
put
it doesn't make
Sturbridge.
sense.
Why would we be putting a parking lot on?
In the index, I didn't include the word Sturbridge.
I don't think I've ever seen that on a, when it has an address.
All right, so there we go. Sturbridge has now been removed.
Thank you. Just looked weird, actually.
I would agree with that. And I saw that last night.
I missed it.
I thought of it and then just skipped
Well,
it.
in the language above it, it says improvements located at 501 Main Street in Sturbridge, or take any action
But
related
I
thereto.
don't, but
So
that, we
gotta
can't really take that out.
We can't take that out?
Right.
I don't think so, no. I saw that too, but.
No, that's theirs. That's not us. Unless it's an obvious spelling or typo. Article 36, library HVAC, $1,100,000.
Under the recommendation, 481,000.00, unless you already put it in.
Under the recommendation?
Recommendation of the Board of Selectmen. Which one are we on, 37?
We're on 36.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
In 36, you got 2 100,000s and
Oh,
a
we got more than that.
670,000, both needing .00,
There's a lot of them.
and a 230,000.
230. So you must have
So-
rewritten this,
so-
'cause it said add minor repair done 5 years ago. You must have done something.
I did, yeah. I mean, I didn't think that the minor repairs added any, the heating, ventilation, air conditioning system of the Joshua High Library, which was installed as part of the renovations made to the library in 1907, has suffered multiple failures, is in constant need of repair, and is now well past its useful life. The article will fund the replacement of the HVAC system. Approximate cost of replacement includes $100,000 for design plans of the new system and related upgrades, $670,000 for the new system, $100,000 in ADA building upgrades triggered by state codes due to the cost of the new system, and $230,000 for installing a sprinkler system should such a system be required under state codes. $50,000 in ARPA funds are also being used for this project. And that's the end of the summary box. All right, so we're okay with that?
Yep, I am.
All right. 37, I really don't like the title of this thing either, plant media, because it really sounds like you're changing plants out, but
That's what I thought at first, I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I still understand it.
it should be remove and replace, I don't know, filtration media at power plant or something to that effect, but whatever. So,
So under the recommendation of Board of Selectmen, the 481,000 needs a .00 after.
all right, I'll be nice and add it to them.
Is that?
I was gonna add.
Well, that's their motion, you know?
Well,
All right, so Article 38. You get the same thing there. And you notice their motion doesn't spell it out either, so their motion isn't really legal.
their 220 needs a .00, and they didn't spell it out, you're right. But that's not, I put here .00 and in words,
No, that's,
but we can't add the words, huh?
I'm not touching their recommendation.
Okay.
Now,
I think you can just not add the words, Kevin. It's fine.
yeah, but you know what it's gonna do? It's gonna change my page breaks. It's gonna change my,
God forbid. we should change-
Priorities.
We should change it.
well, I've already got all the indexing done and the spacing already lined up.
Yeah. So true.
So we'll
I
just
know it
stop talking
sounds
about
so thing, but it's, you don't know how many hours it takes to get this lined up.
Oh, I know.
You do, yeah. Article 39, petitioned article. I don't know if anyone saw, but that the state actually today decided it was going to throw out the motto and the flag and
Oh, they
come
did?
up with a new one.
Oh, I didn't see that.
That happened that was in the paper today. I forget, it was the Globe or the Telegram someplace.
I didn't see it. Of course.
So we're good with the ATM warrant then? Yep. All right, STM warrant. Ooh. So you think that one was, so there, I did the same thing at the top, town of special town meeting, Tantascwa, June 6th, 7 PM, and got it all in the same size font.
The same thing in the first sentence, Kevin. The dollars has to be moved in
The other
relation
end,
to the
yeah.
zero.
Gotcha. All right, that dollars has been corrected there. Okay,
Article, you want 56?
I'm going to 56 right now.
Oh, it says 142,754.
It should say and 00.
$00, yeah. You can insert and.
Yeah. From free cash to fund the fiscal 2022 snow and ice deficit. Unpaid bills, you know, we took no action. You see my explanation, I think that's pretty straightforward. I don't think there's a lot to that.
58 needs to add the and 00 also. 3,000
Oh, yeah. In our motion,
Yes.
well, actually, no, that's
No.
a transfer.
No, that's
It's gotta
up
be added to the thing, yeah. 00/$100, okay.
In 59, again, it's flipped. $644.
I really thought yeah, dollars is missing. Oh, I see it now. screwed that up. He's got that one up there, yeah, thanks, Mike.
Under the body armor, you'll recall that there was a question, why would firefighters need it? And I think it was Lee who explained it. And I'm just wondering if we should put a sentence in explaining why firefighters need to have body armor.
Maybe, or where it says body armor, I don't know if they figure a knight coming out to joust or something here, just maybe in parentheses, protective vest / gear or something.
Well,
Maybe close enough for what.
I don't know if it's a term of art. I don't know how these, Lee, do you know?
Body armor.
Body armor is what it's called. Well, if that's the name, that's the
Yep.
name. Of course, we could joust about it.
Let's all go to Higgins Armory and
Yeah,
dig out
yeah.
some mail.
All right, so that's special town meeting warrant. All right, so what else do we have that's hanging out there? The CPC report, you know, I'm gonna look at these as the PDFs. You should have seen those. I mean, that's just the report. The next one is the one where I get the funny thing going on. That's the accounting and revolving funds. There's 2 pages there, but I can't figure out how to make it do page 51 and 52, so it comes out as 1 and 2.
Oh, jeez.
So,
So is,
well,
It's a
well, you
PDF.
could probably edit it.
well, no, it's not a PDF. I have an actual Excel. If you know how to make it do it, let me know.
Yep. All right, we'll look at that after the meeting.
You're right, it's an appendix, so who cares?
All right, good.
We'll do it after the meeting.
And then outstanding debt, I managed to just type in the page number there because it's 1 page.
Kevin, try the Bates numbering feature when you play with that later.
I did, but I couldn't know how to make it. I know how in Word to say start at this number.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say start at this number in Excel.
Okay.
We'll fix it after the meeting.
Did you Google it?
We got to cover
You
it.
know that, what this is like.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I know.
All right, so what did I do with that?
Oh, no, the numbering.
All right, so I think that's everything we needed to cover, right? Anything else anyone wants to bring up, discuss? I'll try and, the one thing I know that I need to deal with then is in that budget highlight section, trying to clarify that sentence, so it makes more sense of where I'm trying to go with revenue. All right, so let's close off some of this stuff and I'll reopen it later. All right, so I know that so going through our thing, the next thing we would normally deal with is meeting minutes, and I know we've got a set of meeting minutes. There it is, 5/5. Order. Joe. All right.
The only thing I picked up is the vote on Article 50 was 7-0. We just need to add the -0 for the abstentions, but other than that, I didn't have any changes.
Yeah, I don't see anything that really sticks out here. Do you got something, Jim?
Yeah, Article 25,
Okay.
second line, it says, "Chaos noted that details, the sewer rates will increase to $2.63, it should be by $2.63.
Okay.
And then on Article 26, the sentence that begins, "MH noted," the middle of the second line, "they are subject to the connection fee." I had a question about whether or not that's accurate.
They're subject to betterments, not
It's
necessarily
a
the connection
betterment
fee.
fee.
You
yeah.
don't pay the connection till you connect.
Right.
So they are subject to the betterment fee. So that had, the word should be changed.
Yep.
There wasn't a lot. Okay. On special town meeting articles, so I don't know what's that, like page 6? I just had a question. It says Article 46, betterment payoff, dissolving betterment. Was there a vote that night, or did we postpone the vote on that?
This was 5-5?
Article 46, betterment payoff.
We did not vote 46 that night.
Okay, that's why there's no vote there.
But there isn't a vote there, so, right? It's just, we discussed it and they held off.
And we held off until the next meeting. I just didn't remember.
I think we should include deciding to hold off.
You did.
until the next meeting to vote.
I do see that there.
Where does it say no vote?
Where did I see that? The FC agreed to hold off until BBA corrects the article. That's Finance Committee agreed to
Yes,
hold.
noted the FC was working the special town meeting warrant. Yes,
So,
FC agreed to hold off voting.
yeah,
I
under
got it,
under
okay.
Article 46,
I
the very
didn't see
last
it.
sentence before 47.
I missed it,
Okay.
right there. Then on the next page, Article 49, it says JM motion to recommend. And I don't know,
It's JW.
I think it should be JW.
Yeah.
And then under meeting minutes down below, it says JH suggested. And I don't know if that might be MH for Mike Hager or JW for J. Water. But
MH.
unless the two of us both stuck our hands up, and
I can go back and look at the.
No, that was me.
There was MH.
if Mike remembers, then it was Mike.
It was me.
Yeah. Okay,
Oh, okay. Cool.
It was Jack.
that's all I had.
I have one, just because it's showing up on my computer here. In Article 11, the second paragraph,
Wait, I got
third
another one.
line, it says MH added that the current placement of the toward the end, I'm not sure what that means.
Article 11?
Yeah, under Article 11, the second paragraph.
Second paragraph.
MH added that the current placement of the toward the end?
I don't see that.
You don't?
Which article is it?
Article 11.
Okay,
I don't know what page it's on, it's just.
Yeah, I would have,
it's on the first page.
added the
No, I
current
meant second paragraph.
of the toward the end is consistent. Oh, this is the current placement of the article toward the end of the warrant is where we're going.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we want to do that. Current placement of the article toward the end of the warrant is consistent with traditional placements. That's
Okay.
kind of where we're going.
All right, that
Oh, I
makes
got these
sense then.
spread out. Did we do Article 30 where it said JH and it should be JW? I'm missing that.
Yeah.
We might have, but I got these all spread out and I'm getting lost. Okay,
Okay, so
doesn't matter.
any other comments?
Oh, I like,
So then can I get a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
so moved.
I have a second. Larry, any other questions or comments? All those in favor? 7-0, right? Yeah,
Abstain,
you're
yeah.
abstaining, yep. Oh, 6-0-1, sorry, there's 7 of us here.
Oh dear, look at all this stuff.
All right, so, old business. Now, the only thing with old business I wanted to ask about is, I can't remember, was it today or was it Tuesday? You know, the Charter Review Committee had the evening meeting we were invited to, but I couldn't attend, and I don't know if anyone actually attended.
I did.
And was there anything substantively different than the first meeting?
It was the debate about town, I don't remember if we talked about it the first meeting. There was some discussion of what offices should be elected versus appointed. The town clerk came up, but I don't think it was, I don't think anyone was really receptive to the idea of changing that to an appointed position. Larry, I don't think it's out of,
Oh, no,
Bounds for you to comment. You were
Right.
obviously there, you're on the committee,
sure.
commission.
The committee had received, in response to a public call, wide open, as well as to various office holders elected and appointed, a total of 28 suggestions. And they were just listed as they came in. There was no categorization. It was deliberately left raw. And at the last meeting, the one Jim attended, the committee started at the top and checked first, is it a charter issue? Is it a bylaw issue? Does it have really nothing at all to do with town government even? And went through the list and to find out which ones require the committee to pay attention and which ones can actually be dismissed. They don't belong in any charter. And deliberately, it was put off. Some points were put off. One was done which involves this committee, was done as a courtesy to a selectman who had proposed that the effective recommendation at town meetings on all zoning articles be transferred from the Finance Committee to the Planning Board. The committee decided by vote to wait until that selectman was back in the country. The individuals in Ireland, I think, or now on the Cape. In any event, the chair was explicit. He said, this is being held as a courtesy. Being a member of this committee, I was silent. The others agreed that it was a courtesy, that the idea will go nowhere. And that's the view of the 4 other members.
And I did give my opinion on that letter.
Yes, you did.
And I just mentioned that it's a fresh set of eyes that are completely independent from everybody else, and it was just nice to have another opinion added from a group of people who had no dog in the fight, so to speak.
That is correct. The committee also decided to take no action, meaning leave it as it is for election of the town clerk, and likewise for the assessor. And we'll take up whether the Board of Health and Board of Health agent should be elected or appointed. Currently, they are elected. My sense, and that's all it is that the current view, subject to discussion or new information, is that the Board of Health looks like, if the vote were right now, would be made appointed. There was also much discussion on establishing a predictability through a definition of what requires a sign-off or an endorsement by the Board of Selectmen when it comes to appointments, and what is done on the authority solely of the town administrator. And there was some conversation from members of the public. It was illuminating because the conversation revealed words like, well, if it's minor. So the question is, what is your definition of minor? Well, it doesn't have that much to do with things. What's your definition of not that much? Well, pretty soon. So that will be a difficult one to achieve clarity, mindful that there will inevitably be a basis for an exception. and we're speaking before any fact of such a situation. So that will be very difficult. The underlying theme being, where is it not the selectmen say so? And that can extend to matters such as someone comes in and in 15 seconds, the meeting, that part of the selectmen's meeting is over, which is, and I've lost the term, I'm sure you'll know what it is, but somebody's a bartender, do you have a safe serve or serve safe? Yes, I do. Do you have a certificate to show that? Yes, I do. Do you have it with you? No. Okay, but you do have it. Yes. Thank you. Does that belong? Where definitionally does something like that belong? And that's a microscopic example of where do the selectmen have a say-so, and where does it begin and end with the town administrator? Always mindful that it's possible to wind up with a town administrator who is more or less an unelected mayor. If you say, well, not the selectmen, this not the selectmen, are you converting the selectmen into spectators? So it will be complicated, and that's where the committee is for now. It's starting to shape up. I think I had mentioned earlier that the committee informed, didn't ask, and just told the selectmen that there would be no report for the annual town meeting, and that the aim was for us, the fall special town meeting, if that proves workable. It's starting to look like it won't prove workable, and it may well be this time next year, or maybe March, let's say, of next year, before the report goes to the selectmen. The three chief questions are, what if? Then what? Why? The answer to why prompts the question, what if? And around you go. And in going round and round, you start ruling in and ruling out and exposing unwarranted assumptions, biases, gaps in knowledge, maybe some lousy methodology in some source. So the committee is continuing to try to deliberately pretend that what it writes and recommends to the selectmen will be written as if it has to stand forever, knowing there will be disputes as time goes by. And as clear as can be, so that if a newcomer to the community picked up the approved charter on the first day living in this town and read that charter one time, that person would understand exactly what the townspeople voted. That won't happen, but that's the standard or the intent of the committee. And we, the five on the committee, are amicably disagreeing with each other. There is polite friction, and I think that's damn good. So that's where that committee stands.
I actually have a amusing that popped into my head when you were saying this. Where is it written, right now, this committee forms every 5 years and does a review every 5 years? Is that in the charter or is that a bylaw?
That's in the charter.
Should we change that so that it's every 10 instead of every 5? Because this is it's a lot of work and a major undertaking for the fundamental document of the town. 5 years seems a very quick pace to look at it. I don't know, it's just something that...
Well, I'll be happy to take it back to the committee.
I don't know, it's just something, I mean, I would. He could
Okay,
ask
I
to
will.
say what came up.
Nope, I will.
You're striking the balance between, you'd like to have the way the town functions kind of stable and not constantly churning,
Yeah.
right? And it's 5 years, or 10 years is better, more stability in 5 years. On the other hand, if there's something that's needs to get fixed, do you have to wait 10 years to fix it, or is there another way to, you can probably fix it without going through a charter review committee?
You could say not less than 5, nor more than 10. Then you have discretion with a 5-year window.
Just a thought, it just seems like you say, there's could be a lot of churn if we're trying to do this every 5 years, and
According to town council, there's a written opinion, the town charter has the force of state law. That has come into play specifically to do with, and I'll use the slang terms, strong and weak chiefs, police and fire. In 1949, the annual town meeting declared that the fire department would be under a strong chief. That's the slang. It's not, it's just easier to do it that way in ordinary conversation. It said nothing at that time about the police department. In 1972, it established at a town meeting a strong police chief. Keep in mind that one can be strong and the other weak, and the other can be strong, and it's not lockstep at all. Then, when the charter converted and a town administrator came into the structure of the town government, there was the people who served on that either unwittingly or deliberately, don't know which, doesn't matter which, because the result was to undo what the annual town meeting in 49 and 72 did. And according to town council, there's nothing illegal about it. The charter is like state law, and state law overrides a town meeting decision. So since the 80s, 1980s, this town has had 2 weak chiefs. The difference between a weak chief and a strong chief is the authority to hire, promote, and dismiss, in the case of both the police chief and the fire chief. Without, I mean, you can sort of let the selectmen know that that's what's happened. In the case of the fire chief, a weak chief, it's hard to imagine, but it is literally possible at a fire for a selectman to go to the scene and say to the chief, move the pumper over there, and those 3 firefighters on that hose, I want to see them over there. And the fire chief has no recourse, believe it or not. That would be, it defies belief, but a literal reading of the English language for a weak chief allows for it. So, and with the police, it would be something like, you know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I realize I'm calling you chief, and I realize you know I'm a selectman chief. And I just thought you'd know that one of your officers just picked up my favorite nephew, and I'd like to know what's going to happen to my favorite nephew by 9 a.m. He's a good boy. Well, that can happen. And there is a state law quite separate from all this, that if that selectman took an action against the chief with respect to the chief's salary or tenure and so forth, that there's an end to that right then and there. But that is being examined now. The current feeling of the Charter Review Committee is it is so complex, particularly because there are unionized firefighters and unionized police officers, and to change through the charter a status of the chiefs, or either chief, could trigger even a National Labor Relations Board action, because it affects the terms and conditions of the workplace. So it may be, and I am speculating as one of 5, it may be that an accompanying letter or memo to the selectmen that is accompanying the recommendations, the product, is a recommendation that that a careful study committee be assembled, retired chiefs from out of the area, active chiefs, maybe someone with rank in the state troopers who interacts with locals, maybe somebody even from one of the federal law enforcement agencies. So active and retired to illuminate what it means to have a strong chief and a weak chief in a town this size with its location, 2 interstates, and many seasonally, but many visitors. Try to do that rather than to just plunk it down as if it ought to be this way along with all, so collaterally bring it to the selectmen. The union matter, and I'm not saying that the charter or committee or I myself have any view with respect to unions per se or unionization, not at all. It is that it would change, a change in status of chiefs, either one, would change, or both, the terms and conditions of the workplace, at least arguably so. So rather than to penetrate that field with the best of intentions and cause trouble, it would be a collateral recommendation.
Yes, it would be impact bargaining is what would happen.
That's the term? Thank you. Yeah, I didn't know that term. Thank you. Impact bargaining. Yeah, I see the term, yeah. So there you are.
All right.
Well, it was interesting at the end when Mr. Chairman Haggerty said you have to resolve the conflict between section 2 point something and 7 point something.
Yeah.
And I went and read those.
Yeah.
I went, because it talks about specified authority that's assigned.
Yes.
And it talks about general authority, which is over everything. That's like, this is a contradiction. This is in total conflict. And that's something.
Yeah,
I don't know, I just read it, I go, wow.
Yeah, I brought that forward with some embarrassment because I served on the last charter. And I sat there and said, oh, that looks good. Well, funny what 5 years will do to you. In fact, 5 years ago, my hair was
Where are you trying to go?
thick and luxuriant,
I've known you longer than 5 years.
like that there.
But it was a sparsely attended meeting.
It was?
I'm glad I went to
Oh,
the
right
first
there. I got you.
Do one.
You are yeah, it is.
Three of us in
You
the
are the
audience.
best.
But Leslie
Thank you.
was there.
I'm sorry?
Leslie was there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, let's let you.
She was,
So you were
Leslie
saying-
Wong, she was excellent. She,
I was gonna say, so you're saying that meeting that we had at 4 o'clock in the afternoon was better
It's
attended?
better attended.
there was 3 of us at the
Yeah,
meeting.
that reminds me, to fully answer your question, thanks for mentioning that, Jim. There are a couple of people who do not report, a couple of positions where the reporting is to a commission or a committee, not to the TA. The recreation director is an example. And it has been asked of the committee to look thoroughly at that. And likewise, the Board of Health agent. I think, does that cover it? I think it does.
Yes, and the Board of Assessors was discussed whether or not that should be elected or appointed to. They came up in the same context as the Board of Health.
Yeah, I think I meant
Remember
to
that.
mention that earlier, I think.
Remember that, yeah.
All right. So is there any other old business for anybody? New business?
I'd like to wish the Celtics good luck tonight.
Oh, yeah, that's true, too. So I guess the next thing, the book will go, I've got to get it to the printer. The town meeting is June 6th, it's a Monday night. Right now, there isn't any need for us to meet prior to that, because I personally don't like having that meeting the night of that night, because it's just chaos, everybody's talking to people, and trying to get organization is tough. So if something should come up, I'll try to schedule a meeting, the days prior to, but I don't expect anything at this point in time. So the only thing to remember, the next time we'll get together will be at the annual town meeting. It's business dress. That means business dress in the traditional thing, suit, tie.
Is there such a thing anymore?
Actually, it's being re-implemented, dress codes. Yeah, I just read about that. Dress codes are coming back.
What color cover?
I don't know yet.
You had a cycle.
Yes, I did. I have to go. I was digging through them all last night. I'm in it like tan or something like that at this
I
point.
probably disrupted it, though.
You
when I was
did.
chair for a
You
couple of years.
absolutely, you're absolutely,
I picked my favorite colors.
yeah, exactly.
I urge mauve.
I don't know.
We had one not too long ago.
All right. So, no other new business? Everyone's good? All right, then, so I entertain a motion to adjourn. Joe? And, oh, Kathy will second. All righty, so, any further discussion on adjournment? All those in favor? That's 7-0 at 8:46.